The restaurant was quiet that evening, the soft hum of rain tapping against the windows blending with the faint sound of dishes clinking in the kitchen. The dinner rush had ended, and most of the tables were empty, except for one in the corner. A young mother sat there with her 2 little kids, their clothes damp from the storm outside. Her hair was tied messily, her eyes tired but gentle as she tried to comfort her children. The smallest boy, maybe 4 years old, whispered, "Mommy, are we going to eat today?" She smiled weakly, brushing his hair. "We'll see, sweetheart, just wait a bit." The waitress noticed they hadn't ordered anything for almost an hour and walked over awkwardly. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but if you're not ordering, I might have to ask you to leave." The manager's been watching. The mother's hands trembled as she reached for her worn-out purse. "Please," she said softly, her voice breaking. "Please don't throw us out. We just needed somewhere warm to sit for a while. I'll pay when I can. I promise." The waitress hesitated, torn between compassion and policy, and went back to the counter. Moments later, the manager, a tall man in his mid-40s with a neatly trimmed beard and a serious face, walked out from his office. He glanced toward the corner table, clearly ready to tell them to leave. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but," he started. Then he froze. His voice caught in his throat. He stared at the woman, eyes wide in disbelief. She looked up, confused by his silence. Recognition flickered across her tired eyes too. "Ethan," she whispered. He blinked, almost forgetting where he was. "Sarah," he said slowly, as if afraid she might disappear if he spoke too loud. For a few seconds, neither moved. The years between them filled the space with unspoken memories. She was the one person he thought he'd never see again. 12 years earlier, Sarah had been Ethan's best friend in college. They had studied together, laughed together, and when life hit him hard, when he lost his father and nearly dropped out, it was Sarah who made sure he didn't give up. She'd worked double shifts to help him pay for books. She believed in him when no one else did. And then, one day, she disappeared. He tried to find her, but she had moved away, and life carried them in different directions. Now, sitting in front of him, she looked nothing like the confident girl he once knew. Her hands were calloused, her face pale, her eyes hollowed by exhaustion. Her children clung to her sides quietly. "What happened to you?" he asked gently, his voice trembling. She sighed, her gaze lowering to her lap. "After my husband passed, everything fell apart. He left some debts behind. I lost my job last year, then the apartment. We've been moving from shelter to shelter. Tonight, everything was full, and it's raining. I just needed a place where my kids could be dry." Her words came out between shaky breaths, shame lacing every syllable. Ethan's throat tightened. He knelt beside her table, his voice soft. "You helped me once when I had nothing. I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for you." Tears welled in his eyes. "You're not leaving. Not tonight. Not ever again like this." He stood and called to the waitress. "Get them whatever they want. Dinner, dessert, hot chocolate, everything. And charge it to me." The waitress smiled faintly, realizing something deep was happening, and hurried away. Sarah's lip quivered. "Ethan, you don't have to." "I do," he interrupted gently. "You gave me a second chance at life once. Let me give it back." The children's faces lit up as steaming plates arrived, pancakes, fries, soup, and chocolate milk. The little boy clapped his hands, his sister giggling beside him. Sarah watched them eat with tears streaming down her cheeks. She hadn't seen them smile like that in weeks. Ethan sat across from her quietly, letting her regain her strength, her dignity, her warmth. Later that night, when the restaurant had closed, Ethan walked her and the kids to his car. "I have a guest room," he said. "You'll stay there until you get back on your feet. No arguments." Sarah covered her mouth, overwhelmed. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Say you'll let me help," he said softly. "That's enough." Over the next few weeks, Ethan helped her find work at the restaurant. Slowly, Sarah began to rebuild her life. The kids started school, laughter returned to their mornings, and the dark circles under her eyes began to fade. One evening, as the restaurant buzzed with customers again, the little boy ran up to Ethan with a drawing. It showed their small family, him, his mom, his sister, and Ethan, standing together under a rainbow. On top, written in shaky crayon letters, were the words, "Thank you for not throwing us out." Ethan smiled, tears welling up again. "No, buddy," he whispered, hugging the boy, "thank you for reminding me what really matters." Sarah watched them from behind the counter, her eyes glistening with gratitude. Life had come full circle. A single act of kindness from years ago had returned to her when she needed it most. Sometimes, fate doesn't just bring people back, it brings them home.